What's going on, everybody? This is Island Hopper TV, and today we're coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts with 30 things to see and do. Let's do it. We are here now at the Boston Common Park, also known as the Boston Public Garden. Located in the heart of Boston, it's also known as the Emerald Necklace system of parks that is bounded by Charles Street along Beacon Street and Beacon Hill. In the spring and fall, this is a very colorful area, as you can see many different flowers blooming on the trees and on the ground. They also have a George Washington statue. Consider taking a swan boat ride around the pond. Now let's walk Newbury Street. Probably one of the most famous roads in all of Boston. Newbury Street is considered one of the most expensive streets in all of the world. It's known for shopping, cafes, also several different beautiful churches can be found here. Located in the Back Bay area of Boston, it is a east to west running road from Boston Garden to Brooklyn Avenue. A section of the road known as Washington Street dates back to 1643, although much of the street actually is part of the backfill project that they did in the early 1900s. Now here we are at Fenway Park, known for the famous Green Monster. This is where the Boston Red Sox play. If you've ever wanted to see a classic old school baseball game, come out here to Fenway Park. If the Red Sox aren't in town when you're here, you can go to the bar in the outfield and get some lunch with a beer. Now we're here at Havard Yard, the world famous Harvard University right here. You can walk around, a very popular place with students, young people, and people who just want to see what's going on up in Harvard. For those of you who want a little bit of history, remember the Salem witch trials, you can head up to Salem, which is about 16 miles north of Boston, just south of New Hampshire. They have a couple museums up here, some houses, and lots of history. Just a quaint town north of Boston. Some of you may be interested to go out to Cape Cod. You can either drive out there, it'll take an hour and 12 minutes, or you can take a 90-minute ferry to Cape Cod. We have arrived at Faneuil Hall. The building dates back to 1741. Faneuil Hall is actually where the Sons of Liberty proclaimed their dissent against the British royal oppression. It is part of the National Parks of Boston and the Freedom Trail. The Freedom Trail is a famous 2.5-mile long path that goes through 16 different locations significant to the history of the United States, winding through Boston Common and downtown Boston. Now we're here at Quincy Market. This is a little bit different vibe than Faneuil Hall because here you're going to do some shopping and lots of eating. So you can try everything from lobster to various different types of sweets and desserts. A really nice place to come and get good vibes down here at Quincy Market. The market actually went quiet for a few years in the 1950s since people left the downtown core of Boston for the suburban life, but then they decided to revamp it and bring it back to life, and it's back to sprawling and lots of music being played here, so a historical market now thriving with over 50 different eateries for you to enjoy. So after walking around Quincy Market, you can head over to the north end and check this area out. This is where Little Italy is. So if you're looking for a classic night on the town where you get to go out for restaurants, drinking, pubs, I would consider North End to be one of those areas that you really check out. So this whole area is one of my favorite places. Even in the afternoon, you're gonna find many different pubs that are open, serving great food, and lots of vibrance, especially on the weekends. In the summertime, spring, and fall, this place comes to life. They have a few different markets down here in the north end as well, but do consider Union Oyster House if you love them oysters. Here we are now at the Paul Revere House Museum. It's $6 to go inside here. Now you can't take any pictures inside the old Paul Revere house. Basically what you're going to see inside here is going to be some bedrooms, a living area, a dining area, and you get to walk around the old Paul Revere house and be in the area where Paul Revere was said to have frequented. Just some quick facts about Boston here. Their total population in the metro area is 4.344 million people, which is a little bit of an increase from 2022. So Boston went from losing population to now gaining in population again. It's actually considered one of the highest per capita income areas in the United States. So with that being said, when it comes to hotels, I would say prepare to pay anywhere between $200 to $300 a night for a hotel in the core of Boston. And while you're here in downtown Boston, check out the Chinatown Gate. This is one of the largest Chinatowns in all of the USA. You can check out the markets and the winding streets here. An affordable way to get around Boston is on the T. It's a basic fare for one-way ticket, $2.40, but if you do the one-day pass, it's $11 for the whole day. And you can really explore much of Boston this way. Now you can walk around the Charles River. This is the main river, Boston North End and Cambridge, and there's lots of recreational activities to do here. While in Boston, you can take one of these world-famous Boston duck tours along the Charles River. So this is a narrated tour on these amphibious duck boats. These are old World War II vessels, so they go on the land and then they go in the water. You'll learn a lot about Boston and really a great way to explore around the Charles River. If you notice, right behind me is an obelisk. We are here at the Bunker Hill. Now this here monument you can actually go up to the top of, but it's mostly a site where they commemorate the Battle of Bunker Hill, which was one of the first major battles between the British Redcoats and the Patriots of the United States Revolutionary War. If you chose to go up to the top, it's going to take you 294 steps, but the views, they're decent. I would say the real benefit is a heck of a leg workout. Now let's explore the USS Constitution. Nicknamed Old Ironsides, this here ship was launched in 1797 and is the oldest commissioned warship afloat in the world today. So when you're going there, you will see that there are U.S. service members manning the post. Because it is technically a commissioned ship, you're allowed to go on board. It's quite small compared to most of the modern Navy ships, but it is cool to go on this old relic of the history dating back to 1797, and it fought a valiant effort in the War of 1812. And in case you're wondering, yes, it does still sail, but rarely. The good news is it's totally free. So now we're headed over to TD Garden. You can easily walk here from the USS Constitution across the river, and this is where the Boston Celtics play, as well as the Boston Bruins. It's a good area to go if you want to check out those games. So depending on the season you're in Boston, check out the Red Sox, Boston Bruins, or the Celtics. Now here we are at Long Wharf, dating back to the 1700s. It's now part of the U.S. National Park Service, but you do have many different sophisticated downtown accommodations here, along with restaurants and cafes. Also, a great way to get around is hop on, hop off. They do have a trolley system that goes all around. This is kind of like a duck tour, but a bit longer and a bit faster. So do consider doing a hop on, hop off bus on one of these trolleys to see many of the key sites in Boston. You can get a 1 or 2 day hop on, hop off pass for $52 per adult. I do recommend booking online. How about a ghosts and gravestones tour? Go around to some of the haunted buildings in Boston for around $47 per person, and it takes an hour and 30 minutes. Now this here is the Boston Harbor Islands. There's 34 different islands and peninsulas out here, and you can actually go out to some of these by hopping aboard a ferry and just heading out there. There is no fee to get onto the islands, but you will have to pay a fee to the boat. Now this is seasonal and open from May until September, but the ticket price is $20. Behind me here we have the New England Aquarium. And here they have one of the largest shark and ray aquarium tanks in all of the East Coast. Adult tickets start at $34, children 3 to 11 are $25, children 3 and under are free. Actually, if you just go outside the aquarium, you can say what's up to these friendly sea lions for free just out in the front, but it's better to go inside. Now, what do you guys say we head over to the Boston Tea Party Museum here, where they actually threw the tea into the harbor, saying taxation without representation is not going to work for the new colonies. So here you can walk around and feel like you're going all the way back in time to the 1700s. They do reenactments here, and the ticket price is around $21 to $30 per person. As you can see, going around Boston, you're going to come across a lot of history here, and I would consider staying in Boston for around 3 days at the least. So a perfect time for Boston, 3 to 4 days for sightseeing. And if you guys are enjoying this video so far, please consider subscribing and liking the video. Let's keep going. We have now arrived at the Museum of Science. Here at the Museum of Science, you can explore around here for $29 per adult, $24 for children 3 to 5, and then seniors are $25. Museum of Science and Nature is a science museum with indoor zoological experience, a science park, a planetarium, and it's right here between Boston and Cambridge. You could easily spend a few hours to a half a day here exploring everything, enjoying a lunch, and really just relaxing, and the kids are going to love this place because it really gets them thinking. Boston does have a bunch of different museums that are world class, so be sure to do some research on all the museums that you may want to check out. Now let's talk about some of the local food. Famous for seafood like oysters, also have clam chowder here. New England clam chowder is some of the most famous. You have lobster. If you've never tried a lobster, then New England's where you're going to want to get your feet wet with that. Cannolis and pastries. I also had some Mexican food while here. Now here we are at Beacon Hill, a very photogenic, famous, old historical neighborhood in Beacon Hill. You'll notice as you walk around, there's lots of history and photogenic streets, one of those being Acorn Street. One of the reasons why Acorn Street is so popular is because it's very narrow and it takes people back in time 100 years and they feel like they're in an old colonial era street. And the road itself is actually this cobblestone, very rough ride, but very nice, picturesque place right here in Beacon Hill.
Now behind me here we have the Massachusetts State House.
Now this beautiful structure is the Massachusetts State House, and it's actually right next to Boston Common, so you can easily get over there and take some pictures. It symbolizes the importance of Boston's lumber industry. Now for those of you who've ever watched the sitcom Cheers, this is the actual Bull and Fitch pub, which is where they filmed Cheers, the show from, and it's open from 11 a.m. They also serve lunch and dinner daily. So if you guys are Cheers fans or you want to go inside there, hang out, that's the restaurant you would go to. And they have plenty of memorabilia and a souvenir shop that you guys can also visit. For me, it's those famous lamp chandeliers with stained glass. Another neighborhood that's really popular is South End, also known as Southie, for those of you who are looking for some entertainment. Anyways, that's going to conclude this episode of Island Hopper TV from Boston. If you guys enjoyed it, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. We will see you on the next one from New York City and Philadelphia.